This is the Knights Foundry, and this is all belt-driven foundry, water-powered. And they piped in their water from up in the hills down here that ran the mill. Give a shot of this wood crane here, 5-ton wood crane.
I've got the wall cards.
Then back over here, these are some wood patterns. This is kind of showing how they make a wood pattern like this, and then they set it into their sand, and then they put the two pieces together and pour into it, and they make a metal part.
That's got all our information on it. Anyhow, yeah, you look at the way, out of the foundry, which is next door, they would take pieces out and they could put them right here. They could move it any place in the machine shop and work.
With all the cranes and
stuff like that. Again, like we were talking.
See, look at this one over here. See somehow that moves in a radius all the way around the shop like that? See that? All that woodwork right there, and it's on a middle track with those wheels up there. See those wheels? And that's guided around in an arc. So you can go from like that radial arm drill press over to the planer.
Everything.
What was this here? Was this?
It's the lathe.
That's a lathe?
Yeah, it's bull.
Oh my goodness. That's the faceplate of the lathe?
Yeah, that's 2 lathes actually.
Oh my goodness. Look at, son, you gotta get a picture of this. This is a lathe. This is a faceplate of a lathe. Do they still spin this at all, or
Not that.
not this one?
We haven't got through the.
My goodness.
We hooked up a 10 horsepower motor so that we can turn the belts on and show you how they run.
Is that the cutting head there?
Right?
Yeah.
This is the wooden pattern.
So this gear in here is actually a part
Yeah,
in a chuck.
right.
Wow.
And here's the wooden pattern for that
That
gear.
made that gear. Wow, that is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. My goodness, that's huge. That's a huge faceplate.
There's a 14 or 15 foot one out in that new machine shop.
Would we be able to see that? Oh, great.
Let me go turn things on.
Okay. You mind us just wandering, looking at all these neat
Oh,
tools?
just stay here for about 10
Oh, okay.
seconds. Let me get the belts on.
Oh, okay. Sounds. Oh, he's gonna get the belts going. So this is a planer here. Right here. You put a piece of steel in here like this here, and this table would slide back and forth against this tool. And this is a flapper. And you can see the belts up above. And all the way down there. See that long line shaft down that side? That is amazing.
That's the main shaft runs down through there, and then the laterals run off. This pole back up here on this line here.
When was the last time you had your planer working?
This one we have not got working yet because it runs off the water.
Oh, okay.
It had its own water wheel.
Oh, that's actually a water motor there, huh?
Right, right.
Wow.
The main water wheel that ran this place is maxed out. So as they added bigger equipment like this, they put them on their own water wheels.
I see. So they had their own power source.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Everything needs an off and off. It's kind of hard, and you may not be able to.
Can you see the belt moving right here?
Yeah. Watch.
See this big handle? That's how he shifts the belt on. And then this belt will start turning. See it? And now you see the head of the lathe moving.
You must be, you're just doing it. You're good background in all this stuff, don't you?
Well, I'm just fascinated by all this neat stuff.
Anyhow.
That is so cool.
Now, what you can see is, two just different diameter plates.
Right.
Or they can put a shaft in between.
Are they perfectly lined up? Oh, wow. So just the engineering in doing that, with that sort of heavy equipment, at that time period is pretty amazing.
And this is not hooked up right now, but you watch this handle. It'll come up and down, and the hand over here, and hook it to that ratchet there, and would automatically move the
The head? The cutter?
The tool.
That is so neat. I would think so, because that looks like it'd be major to have to move by crank or something.
This, what everybody they're trying to do, that's a pretty good sized press there.
That is really cool.
But you look at the gears and stuff around here.
See, that machine back there is a wood planer. See that the wheel's against? That's a wood planer that he's got in here. And of course, everything had to be made out of wood before they cast it. So,
After 20-some years, if you put that 10 horsepower motor up there, there's 5 of us sitting here at 5:30 one night, and we all kind of went, okay. So we pushed the button to see what would turn, what wouldn't. Everything turned.
wow, after 20 years.
And there's no ball bearing today.
It's all Babbitts.
It's all about it.
So you guys pour all your own Babbitts in here to fix stuff? And
We haven't had to.
oh, really? It's all just nice?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'll be
Everything
darned.
turned. You know, I'm going to jump ahead here. I want to show you this other, then I'll turn you over here.
Sounds good.
Come on, son.
1902 Smith & Mills belt jumping shaper.
It's interesting about this. You can see it about reverses it and also moves it. It's all
Right.
automatic. That's all good.
You can see how this moves, keeps moving everything over, flick by flick. That is amazing. Still cutting metal to this day.
I'm going to see how good I can. I don't want it stopped on the metal.
Why?
You know where to turn off the belt to get it to stop, huh?
I'm going to do it in that side. It's kind of like,
There you go, you got this. Oh, went forward just a tad.
that's no stop. I'm going to turn that off.
Okay, sure. Large and shifted here, son. This is geared head lathe here, a Lodge and Shipley. It's got a taper attachment on it.
This is the only
electric one that they have here.
Yeah. And we'll probably leave eventually.
Really?
We've got some other belt-driven
Lathes and stuff?
lathes and milling machines and stuff like that. What we'd like to do eventually is get it back to about a 1930 or so. I mean, electric would be okay then too, but get it all back to belt-driven and not make a museum out of it as much as a working museum where people can come in and get their hands dirty,
Oh, that'd be neat.
you know, and stuff like
You'd
that.
have me coming up here.
That's great. You know, that's what we would like. You know, so that's our goal. You know, to get back to being water powered. We're not right now, or get the furnaces working again.
Do you still have the capability of bringing the water in, or is it,
There was at one time water rights,
uh-huh,
and they were given back to the water agency.
I see.
So we don't have those anymore. So we'd have to buy the water. There'll have to be some sort of recycling of that water. Now,
Yeah.
at high operation, they figured there's about 420 gallons a minute of water going through here. And it would go out and get into a ditch.
But you can't really run your shaper, for instance, until you get water supply.
Right.
Yeah.
But then what would happen, it would go out here to a ditch and go to Ione, which is about 11 miles down. But they would be used for ag water and stuff like that.
I see.
We can't do that anymore because the facilities are gone. You can't just necessarily dump it in the creek. That wouldn't be right. And I don't know whether we could with Fish and Game or not. So the right thing to do is, to get a recycling project in place where we could dump the water into a tank out here and pump it back up on the hill.
There you go.
Again, we're a nonprofit, no public money involved.
So REAP funds take a while to get.
Everything, we got a set of priorities and then, raise money for that. And that's what we're doing.
Makes sense.
So, like we said, we can walk this way, it's fine. Walk the way forward. That lathe over there is supposedly carried through the base, came around the horn on a ship.
Wow.
The head.
You know who made these lathes?
I don't, I'm not a
Man,
machinist.
look at the casting on it. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Man.
But the lathe over there, the motor heads, the heads of them were all made here. Tonight's design.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't figure.
So you're talking about the gearing head and stuff?
Power, yeah. They basically, he didn't figure he should have to pay for that weight. Come around here to make it just
So
good.
they could do their own thing here. So they basically bought the body and then they put
and I'm not sure why they did that.
Look at this son. This is something that they've turned on this lathe recently.
Yeah, that's
There's no rest at all on this. So this has been
part of our. We have the fourth Tuesday is our tour day, and what we've gone to now the last couple is basically letting people do a self-tour, a piece of paper, but have the stations running so that if you want to sit here and watch them work on the lathe, you could ask questions and stuff like that, and go through on your own time.
Yeah.
And the same thing.
I imagine you need to have somebody right here though, because this stuff's dangerous.
Oh, yeah, no, and that's what I'm saying, no, there would be a machinist here, basically the rope comes across here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You don't get any closer than published.
Right.
No, just for
Because they get themselves caught in that, they'll be doing some loop-de-loops.
Yeah. And that's.
So this is like almost two different operating heads
It is.
at two different ends with two different tail stops. And you could use them all as one, or you could use them as separate units. That is really neat.
That one on that end is rope driven instead of double driven.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Son, show this. This is a belt driven. This is
Rope driven.
rope driven rather than belt driven.
And the basics, the difference are the turn,
Yeah, the way that the pulleys.
pullers, that's it, couldn't come up, they're a little bit feed. Basically.
Now, does this shift just as easily as a belt does?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean.
I imagine while it's turning, there's enough flex in that, I
Yeah.
guess.
Again, I'm not a machinist, but I've seen it pull it back and forth. But this is basically a little bit more V, the board. It'll be really like a V belts in the trucks.
Right.
Stuff like that. Now, I'm not sure whether this has got metal in it or just straight wood.
It smells like regular rope.
Yeah. So,
It looks like regular rope.
but that again is just one of those things that,
Yeah.
what
That
made
is
it all, I don't know.
really neat. Dude, look at this old belt-driven drill press on. Look at that. And it has a feed on it and the whole 9 yards. Little rotary table here for all the bits. Wow, man, this is completely outfitted. They wouldn't drill holes in the supporting posts to mount things, and that is so cool.
All the windows are broken out of this place have been broken out. And lots of ladies.
Look at this little bench top. And it's belt driven. Look at this, look at a shot of this little bench top here. Well, it's belt driven off of an electric motor.
All the stuff is here. We're very lucky we have one.
Got a little sneeze coming up.
We've got a volunteer that went through and made all these windows for us.
Uh-huh.
You know, we've got a good bunch of guys working here.
Yeah, this is so cool. Got some monster vices in here.
Yeah, they did some good stuff.
Oh, big baby right there. What did this thing do? This,
That's
is that a press or something?
yeah, it's a very heavy press.
I'll be. It was like they made that.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
So that, there's a ram that's driven down?
Yep. That's the way it's been explained to me. Yeah. Air in, air out.
I'll be. That's good enough.
There's an on-off switch for that.
Uh-huh.
There's a view of the street outside early on.
Uh-huh.
See all the trees that aren't there now.
Yeah.
But this is some of the,
Foundry work that they did.
look at the size of
Oh,
that.
my goodness. Well, they had some huge equipment back then. I mean, just,
This was a 36-inch dredge or 30-inch dredge. That they made, I think, 4 of them. One for the city of San Diego, 2 for Oakland, San Francisco, and 1 for the city of Seattle.
wow.
But they would do all this and forge them and then pour them here and then machine them, put them all together right here and fill the curvature.
Yeah.
Take it apart and ship it out there. Now they ship all over the world.
Uh-huh. That'd be awesome. You're gonna have to clear out the way though, because that has quite a stroke to it.
Now this was made by night, or there's the assuming it was. I think what they finally decided was it was probably poured here and then sent out to be,
And get a, right up here on the nameplate. This was made by Knight.
it was probably
The
sent
company.
out to the machine because it didn't have anything big enough to do it.
Oh, I wouldn't think so. But they cast it all here? Massive
After
cast.
the mine shut down and filled up the water and a lot of work with the heavy industry, big cameras in the valley and stuff like that.
Now that's gotta be like an 8-foot arm on that thing, at least, right? Yeah.
But again, too, you look at some of the big stuff that they big pieces of, like the
Yeah.
stuff that they had to drill.
That's an early model.
You can see some of it now, the brick, open bracket that they got into making and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
More of the drill work and
Yeah.
risky stuff.
That was this stuff. A receipt to the Bunker Hill Consolidated Mining Company. They got a bill of $86. They got a discount of $13.44 for the scrap metal that they brought in.
Brought in.
So it's got, this is, the building out here they call the new machine shop. Was built 1936, right before they had the fire back here. They lost all the office. And they lost a lot of valuable blueprints. So that's why we're looking for anything with paperwork with Knights Foundry on it, stuff, especially early on, because we don't have any. They had a fire, put it out, and you can still see some of this stuff is charred here. But
Yeah, you
that
can.
same year was the year they took all the wood off and put that in those buildings. Have you guys been to Old Town Mill?
I never have. Nope.
Well, downtown in Old Town Sacramento, some of the buildings have cast iron
And all that cast iron was founded here?
Yeah.
Wow.
Some of the work they did in the Capitol, the rotunda and stuff, some of the cast iron beams that held that up, and they remodeled, were brought up here, the new patterns made and poured here so that they could, use them.
Keeping the well within it. Look at that big old beard, huh?
It's interesting, look at this here, look at the hair bone.
That's a herringbone gear.
Here, like this. And something this big, they would just, before they put cement on it, they would just use wooden floor like this and then pack the sand on the floor. But you notice each goes at an angle like this.
Yeah.
So each one of those gears has 2 screws in the back. So before they could pull it out of the sand, they had to take them apart. And they could pick up part of the mold, then they could go back in and pick up each one of those teeth.
Yeah, they'd have to pull out the rim and then they'd pull out the teeth.
Teeth on each one?
Yeah, because how could you pull it out of the sand?
Right. So,
that is pretty cool.
you gotta remember, everything that was made in metal had to be made in wood, so, and if the guy in the pattern shop made a mistake, there was no matter what happened on the back end,
it still was no
still
good.
a mistake, And it would take, well, how many hours would it take a pattern maker to make that?
Oh, forever.
And you gotta remember that we're dealing with hot metal, so we gotta deal with shrink. So,
So all your patterns had to be oversized.
yeah,
Do you know what the difference was between?
it was different with each one. Each pattern was different because of the amount of,
You had to figure the quantity of metal within it.
yeah. What they did,
And this must be the pattern shop in here?
yeah, and this is what they call a shrink rule. You notice this is the top one. This one here is a 24-inch rule.
Okay.
Okay? The bottom one is a 24-inch rule with an 1/8 of an inch shrink
So
built into it.
built into it, so that you use the bottom rule to
Just like you would anything else. If it calls for 1.5 inches, you would measure down 1.5 inches, knowing that your 1/8 inch shrink factor was built into it.
Oh, gotcha.
But somebody had to figure that out, but then, beforehand, before any of these guys, they just had to be able to look at it and tell,
Right. Yeah. Well, they've been doing this stuff for thousands of years, so
basically.
they had to get it figured out.
This is a pattern maker's toolbox,
Cabinets? Yeah.
and this one pretty much is intact. It was donated to us
Wow.
by,
All the precision tools.
yeah, by a lady whose grandfather or great-grandfather was a pattern maker.
This is a pattern of a pulley, a wood pattern that they'd use in the sand. And this is a split pattern, so there was probably another side to it. Yep. Oh, there you go.
All these were,
So the pins would probably be where they joined them.
right.
So they have pins right in through here. They join it with the pin, and then when they put in the sand mold and would pack it, then they could pull the top part off and pull these two halves out. That's pretty neat.
You can see a lot of gears and stuff in the back. They did a lot
Is
of
that all wood?
Those are all pattern stuff there, yeah.
They're all wood patterns.
But, and you can see against the back wall, the chain, a lot of the early stuff in the manufacturing was driven by chain, trucks even, and stuff like that.
Right.
Industry wanted the sprockets to be a little softer. We wanted to nail up sprockets before we go out the chain, because it's cheaper to
You have a sprocket?
replace the sprocket
Really?
with the chain. And you can see here now they have, a little bit more electrical
Right. This is more modern.
modern stuff here, but if you turn to your left here, this lathe here is a combination metal wood lathe.
Yeah.
They combine some of the stuff on the leather, from the metal lathe because of the precision and stuff like that. Dealing with the freaking shrinkage interference, and all patterns have just a slight taper to them.
So they
it's
can pull out?
So it's easier to pull out of the sand. Now you can't see it here, well, there's hook on.
The electric motor
Hook
back
on,
there.
motor back, but it did have its own water motor to it.
Uh-huh.
And on this, and this was just strictly for patterns. This motor behind us here turned the table saw here, and that lathe over there. Wood lathe, off of this one motor here.
So that's your faceplate there.
Right.
Wood board is your faceplate. And what's in it is a wood replica of what they're going to cast. And that's your tooling right there on that stand right in front of it. And so they cut with that tooling that part as it spun around. Pretty interesting. So they just take that up and they'd fasten things to that board then, and as it spun,
Like a regular lathe. And you could see
That's
the
pretty
adjustment
cool.
on the floor.
Yeah.
How that moved
yeah,
back
they
and
can
forth.
slide that back and forth and just loosen them up, slide it,
One
and
of the,
go.
one of the more interesting patterns,
Baldwin
locomotive works, there's a railroad museum in Carson City, Nevada, that they wanted, they were redoing the engine, and they wanted the pattern made like that, so they pulled the pattern here in metal, and then they went ahead and poured it in bronze. They poured it in metal first to make sure that it was.
It's all gonna come out the way they want it.
The way they wanted it.
Is that the actual metal one then?
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't found the pattern, I can't think it was Carson City, since they bought it. Yeah, I mean, since
Yeah, it was theirs. Yeah.
But
What was all in these? Just fasteners and stuff?
Yeah, this was your hardware store. This was an industrial, you would call this a campus today. Across the street over there was a full-blown blacksmith shop. Over just east of this building we're in, across the street was a pipe shop where they made riveted pipe. They got your foundry, you got your tools, so everything they needed from washers to nuts to bolts and everything that's made here, eventually, they probably bought stuff, but basically, if you wanted it here, you could come down here.
Did they ever sell parts out of here, or
Oh, yeah.
did somebody downtown and need a bolt and say, I don't know who's got it?
Yeah. That's good. We kind of talk about these machines and everything here.
Oh, look at this, son. Look at that. The belt-driven hacksaw.
And a belt-driven grinder here. Like I said, most of this stuff was used up until 1996. In fact, we've used some of the stuff since.
Now, where's the belt come in with this one here? Oh, the shaft is across here.
That's the main shaft that you're looking at right there.
It's the main shaft that comes down. That belt there comes down and runs the hacksaw, which is right there. And this belt here comes down and runs the drive line right here to this grinder.
And I don't know what type of induction and how.
To that grinder. Big old grinder with 2-inch, 1.5-inch wheels it looks like. Neat. Oh, look at, here's another old plane.
Oi!
Another old plane there. Wow, wow, that's a big one too. What is that, got a 10-foot bed on it? No, an 8-foot bed. Yeah, so that one over there is about a 10-foot. Is this one's obviously running.
Yeah, no, this is yours.
You want to take a picture? Hey, do me a favor, son, stand by that head. A little bit closer, son. No, come this way. I want to see see you with it so you can see the size of that thing.
You see what I have to deal with?
See what you have to deal with. Put up your dad and his tools, huh? Oh, you know what? I had it on magnify. No wonder I was having a hard time getting everything in the picture. Now, boy knows how to run these things. I don't. Take a picture of the little water motor that they made, huh?
Yeah, this is a night wheel.
Yeah.
Water goes in, water comes out. You know, he made, small wheels like this all the way up to 7-foot wheels that they use in powerhouses. He built and designed the first hydroelectric plant for Ogden, Utah, using one of his wheels and stuff.
That's another one right there.
This is a Pelton.
That's a what wheel?
A Pelton.
So that wasn't Knights design then?
No. But I'll show you, they were in competition. Basically, this is a Knights wheel here, part of the Knights wheel. Notice the smooth place. And this is a Pelton wheel. Now, the whole thing about water wheels was getting the efficiency out of them.
Right.
You know, the water would hit here and would drop out by the time it got down there. So, you know, the story goes that Pelton was fooling around with the night wheel and somehow saw something that he figured if he divided the water flow here, he'd get more efficiency out of it. They had a big test run in Grass Valley at a mine because
See who's going to do the
who's
best
better,
job.
and Knight ran his equipment, Pelton ran his equipment. They got the test results. Knight went to run his and broke a nozzle. It took 4 days to get a new nozzle from here, Sutter Creek to Grass Valley. Put it on, it leaked. But they decided to do the test anyhow, and knowing that it was a flawed test, did it, and Knight said, well, that's it. It's a flawed test. Mine on Pelton. Anyhow, Pelton's still in business too, so they ran out of decided not to publish anything. Too much later in all came. They do work all over the world with their Pelton wheels. I mean, Knight even anything after that.
And it's still water wheels?
Well, they're Pelton engineering or something like that. Yeah, they're an engineering company. But 99 and 9/10 of the hydroelectric plants, at least in the Sierra Nevada, have Pelton wheels to this day. And, you know, depending on the, you know, high pressure, you know, they don't need as much volume of water to turn the wheels. Where if it's low pressure, in other words, not quite as much fall, you're in the bottom of the dam, you know, not as much fall, they would use bigger cups. So that's, you know, that would be the difference. Now here's a bunch of just different designs people came up with over the years. You can see Pelton, it's, you know, kind of like this, and this was another Pelton wheel. Which Knights was.
There you go.
One's Knight. Anyhow, so the, you know, at a low volume or a high volume turbine, you might have a cup down there like that, and it's sitting horizontal, not necessarily vertical. Most of them are like this with the generator on top. The only reason why I know that, my dad operated a powerhouse. This is the actual water wheel that ran the plant here. Knight was able to use this water wheel because, you know, a lot of the surface mine was done in 1873. They had the infrastructure in to move water around because of the surface mines, you know, so happened that there's a reservoir up here that's filled by water on the Coney River, drops 400 feet, about 200 pounds pressure back door.
Gave you the pressure you needed.
They knocked it down, to get it down right here to about 140, and then there's a handle that goes on this. You can see in here, it's kind of hard, I don't know if you can get a picture, but this is where the nozzle is. And
Okay, I see it.
And they could regulate the water flow there too, so if they weren't, running everything, they didn't have to use as much water.
Oh, the,
So that's kind of the deal on the wheels.
it's surprising how, because this is all cast iron,
Oh yeah, everything's
and
made
it's
here.
held up like that for,
Oh,
like
yeah,
100
like we were just talking earlier today, I mean, I don't know when's the last time they changed it, but that's still turning pretty easy.
it is, for Babbitt bearings.
Babbitt bearings, yeah. And you look at most of the stuff that you run, like those lathes over there, once you cook the power out right from it takes a long time for them, and that's just good bearings and
Yeah, it's all,
alignments.
it's all well balanced.
Yeah. This is kind of a warehouse, after they got into the egg and the stuff, we keep saying that they were in a production foundry where they made the same thing over there. But they're more popular sprockets and stuff.
They had a lot of stocks.
Yeah, they would take stock like this, then wait for an order to come in for that size
And then mill it
sprocket,
out.
and then, for the drive line, if you need an inch and a half, and then with a quarter keyway or half
Whatever
inch
you
key,
need.
they would put it in just like today. Hammers. Although I'm not sure whether those are, what they're used for, those hammers there. I don't, must be in the foundry.
Not
business.
carpenter.
Oh, rakes.
Letters?
Yeah, they're brands.
Uh-huh.
For many years here in this county, lumber was king. And when my dad was falling timber, they would scale the logs where they fell, and that's how they got paid. They'd get paid by the board foot. The timber they found, so they'd go out and measure each log and determine how many board
And
feet
then
they got.
they'd mark them up.
No, in those days they didn't have to because they had a strip number.
Oh, okay.
And so whichever the scaler would scale one strip, and he would, when he wrote it down in his tally book, he would know who was stripping. After they started paying fallers by the hour, then all the scaling was done at the mill.
Oh,
And
okay.
you might have 10 different sales going into this mill. So each one of them would have a different brand.
I see.
And when they loaded the logs on the trucks,
Uh-huh.
there would be a guy go around there, cold brands, and you could feel that. That's swinging it all day would make you.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have to hit the trees pretty hard, and that's how the scaler could tell whose
Whose place
mark to
got
put
what?
on a slip, so that the accountant knows where the money goes.
Yeah, I
So that's
see.
the type of stuff they would do.
Uh-huh.
So pretty much it for this one.
What's in that next little deal over there? Is that?
We're going that way.
Oh, okay,
We're
good.
going that way. This one over here that we're in the air compressor for the shop here, and then the big blower for the forced air for the furnaces. This was a 12-month-a-year operation. So in the summertime, as things got hot and stretched out, they would have to take a piece out of the belt, shorten it
Yeah.
up, make it run, and then back in the winter,
So that's what that was for.
right, and that's just basically staples, and they would
Yeah.
set it in there.
Put a pin in there and
And you would put
You're
those
off and
together,
running.
put it in there, and off and running. So anyhow, that's pretty much the machine shop end of this operation here.
uh-huh.
Now we're over here.
This is where the furnace was?
Notice those doors right there,
Uh-huh.
and then let's come over here where we can see it. These are called cupola furnaces. They're vertical furnaces. And basically, this is a 750-pound furnace. And it close those doors underneath, put a support in the middle. And then you had this area in the bottom, they would build a sand base on there that they used to, the molded sand, and pack it down. And then they would put coke. This is what they used to fire the furnace.
And that's a type of coal, right?
Coke is a coal that has been burned at high temperatures without oxygen.
Okay.
Now, you don't know how they do that, because I always been told to burn something you had to have oxygen.
That's the way I've been told.
But anyhow, they must shut, it's like charcoal, they must shut off the oxygen. But anyhow, it burns out all the impurities.
Okay.
And then you can see there's a rectangle hole back there. They would build up the sand so that everything would come this way, would pour this way. Then they would put some coal in, or coke in there for the charging deck. This is considered the charging deck up there. There's a big door up there. And up there on that door, he would have piles, 750 pounds of metal stacked around, and then coke. So much coke for each charge.
He'd throw in coke with the metal.
Well, you throw in the coke, and then metal, then coke, then metal.
And there was a formula for that, I'm sure.
Right, the coke was, and I don't know what that was. But they would figure out down here how much metal they would need for the day's pour, how many pounds he would have to melt. And so once they got it started down here, the furnace master would go ahead and lock up what they call the berth down there, and plug up that hole. Basically, he would have a tool like this laying in the bottom. So he would put the clay all the way around here, and then he would pull this out and plug this hole with clay. So that would be, this would be baked in, and this one would start to bake in, but it would be a little, just a little hole like that they could punch out later. Then they would get the coke burning, and then they would layer the chargers.
Now, how did they get their coke burning? Was that with gas, or what? How did you?
Early days it must have been wood,
Oh, okay.
but later on it was propane. And then the guy up there loading the furnaces would just charge it with layers. There'd be a layer of coke, a layer
Now,
of...
because you'd start a layer of coke burning in the bottom, right? And then you put your metal in, and another layer of coke. Would you have to get that started on fire, or just the heat from the bottom would do it?
Right, we'll see a little video later.
Oh, good, I'd like that.
I understand, but it was just layered like that, and then just burning. Once it got to the right temperature, and again, the guy running it would look at it and to tell, then he put the forced air to it. And that would just draw
that's where that
big
pump
blow,
in the back, the blower thing.
would force that air up through the center of that. Hot metal burn, would melt about 2,300 degrees. They wanted operating temperature about 2,700 degrees. So once he got it up, and those are sight glasses there, you can see, and two on the back.
How did they measure the temperature inside that?
They had a phytometer, is that what they're called? Where they could just, it's basically a high temperature thermometer that they had in there, at least in the later days. And the other days they would have to
They'd have to know,
watch
colors and
stuff
like that.
But anyhow, they would figure out how much they needed. So the charge guy up there was charging, would have all his piles of metal already weighed out and ready to go. And as they're cooking, as they're melting, when the fluid metal got up to this height, they would go ahead and poke a hole in the dam down here, and that would allow the molten metal to come out into this is called a ladle. And as the net was full, they would plug up that hole again with basically these high-tech tools.
Did it have a clay thing on it?
Clay plug on the end of it. And then
Pop it in there and...
Yeah, and then when they wanted to tap it, they would use what they call the torpedo. Once they filled up the ladle, they had about 5 minutes to pour.
Whoa, that's it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it would start cooling down, and you would, if you had a pattern that had a lot of small fine stuff, you'd have to pour it when it was real hot, and then as it cooled down.
Now, did they heat their patterns before? Or
No,
they didn't? So,
Not
so
that I
even
know
the
of.
coolness of the pattern
suck some of that.
could suck, so if they didn't pour it soon enough, they'd be in big trouble.
No, but there was a way of doing that.
Was there?
I know it, but I don't know, I don't think they actually did it here, but I could be wrong. And maybe just during the winter they did. I'm not sure again, you know.
Yeah.
Coming and talking to somebody that actually did it would be better. But, so anything that was small, detailed, they would pour when it was real hot. Anything that was a little bit bigger, bigger openings and stuff like that, they would pour a little bit cold. But the guy, you notice there's only one handle on this to turn it.
Yeah.
And that was because they wanted one person in charge of pouring how much and how fast and everything like that. There would be another guy on the other side helping support it and stuff like this. But this guy over here
Would be the guy that had
got
control of
control of
the
it.
speed of the pour.
Anyhow.
So he was a trained guy, knew what he was doing, knew
Yeah.
about how much metal needed to go in the mold. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, but a lot of it was on the job training.
Get this too, here. This is an old wood crane
Anyhow,
that they used to move this pot of molten steel.
Yeah, and the guy that operated it, you'll see in the video, one guy, but this whole floor would be full of molds and flasks. Is what they
And he'd
call
be
it.
just taking them around?
Bim, 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 and stop. They got a hole that big to hit, so he's going to stop it up and down. And of course, he's listening to the guy that's barking orders.
Yeah.
But a lot of it he would anticipate. But he was worth his weight in gold because he could anticipate.
It was
and-
5 minutes.
and-
You had to get around the room.
And, well, you got to the patterns that you got. You could not, once you started to pour a pattern, you had to finish.
Right.
You could not stop and come back.
No, you can't.
So,
Yeah, you gotta fill
they
it.
so anticipating where the guy would want to go, anticipating how much metal you got left and all that was, an art in itself.
Oh, I bet.
And, if he could stop that ladle right over where it belonged, it was that less much.
No, so they really tried to pour out all the metal because they needed to get this back here for the next pour, right?
Right. But I mean, if it got too cold, if it got cold to what they figured was cold, they would put it back over here and charge it again, and it would warm up from the metal that they put in.
Okay.
They wouldn't waste it.
Okay. So they could get it back here before it's solidified and pour more metal in.
Right.
That would.
It'd have to be pretty cold to solidify it. Now, I mean, we're talking 5 minutes, what are we down to, 1,500 degrees?
Yeah.
From 27,
yeah.
maybe at the most.
Yeah.
And so you dump a bunch of hot stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
But the idea would stay empty your flask,
Yeah.
But you had to be able, again, the guy calling the shots would have to be able to look and see what's left, look at his patterns and know, his flask and know, okay,
Yeah.
am I got enough to fill that one? No, let's go get some more and we'll start back over here.
When was the last time this was used?
96.
96. So this has been out of order for.
Yeah, now it has 2 layers of brick in there. And faced with like the ladle there, faced with a high temperature facing. But this all has to be redone. Has to be redone. I mean, you look at the outside.
Oh yeah, it's all rusted out.
It's all sheet metal. That's all it
Yeah.
is. It's very thin sheet metal.
Yeah.
But the bricks are what hold the
Right.
So everything was on a cycle. They would pour on a Friday. Okay? They would pour everything. They would, if you had any wood in the flask or anything, like the floor or the bottom, some were always wood. Some of the bigger flasks, I could see that one leaning against the wall over there, that big one there. The deal would, they would take them apart, get them up out of the flame, out of the heat, and then come back on Monday. That way everything's cooled down. Monday, when they got done pouring, they would open the doors and drop everything out of it. Come back Monday, the guy would have to climb up inside of there, checking for any weak spots or anything that needed to be
You're
replaced.
kidding me.
No,
Oh, that poor guy.
well, you got to figure my cats had 2 days warmed out, but on a nice day like this, getting in there might have been nice. You know
That's
what I mean?
true.
But July 11th, when it was 200 degrees outside, it might not have been real good to really know. Anyhow, but again, you didn't want to blow anything
Right.
out because you'd lose everything.
Yeah.
So that guy would be working on his furnaces. There would be a crew out here pulling all the flasks apart, taking out the pieces that had to be ground would go one way. Pieces that had to just be pinged, just in a tumbler. Stuff that had to go, mill would go over here. The molders would be making new patterns, or new patterns, new molds, going in class, getting ready for the next big, so it was about a whole bunch of things going on around here at once.
Did you get a shot of this diagram here, son?
No.
Your black stuff, it's called green sand, by the way, but the black in here is sea coal, which is very finely ground, and then there's 3 to 5% water, just whatever.
Just to get it so it'll pack.
A little bit. I had to be very careful when they were molding these, especially with the sea coal. The sea coal would flash when it got hot metal, and the idea was to put a buffer, a nice buffer between the hot metal and the sand, and it kept that sand from becoming embedded in the metal there until it cooled down, and made just surfacing it, a lot easier. A lot easier. But the problem with that is coal burns, water flashes. So you had to be very careful when you were putting your patterns together in your flask that you didn't pack them too tight and didn't vent it, because if you did, you could blow a pattern apart because you had pressure building up inside. If you didn't have any place to go, you could.
So you need to make sure you had vent holes where you needed them,
just across the top.
depending upon your mold.
Otherwise you found out. Now you can look on the floor. You can see these potholes in the cement floor, and that's basically where they drop some hot metal or the glass leak. Anyhow, they say you just since you hit that cement, that hot metal just dries what moisture is there. Just boom, boom, pops.
You hear it popping,
Well, you kind of got the idea of what this is. We poured aluminum the other day, and this is basically the sand we were using. And basically, the same sand we talked about over here, except it doesn't have the fluid. Because aluminum melts at 1100 degrees, and it's not as hot. So this is basically
The sand and clay.
clay.
These are all flasks, son. See these metal pieces here? Those are all called flasks. That's what they use to make their patterns in. And there are two parts. See how the bolts? See how that has bolts on one side and it has holes on the other? That lines the two sides up.
Drag and a coat. Bottom's a drag and the top is
I
a
can't
coat.
remember what they're called.
They would
So you're beyond me on that.
set this over a piece of paper. Now this is upside down, so they put a pattern in there, pack the clay, the sand around it, again not too tight, and they would eventually flip it over, and you would pull out the patterns. Do the same thing on top if you had a top part of it.
This is your ram. This is what they use to stamp that sand down real tight.
Anyhow, and then put them together and they're ready to pour. You could see the
They didn't quite make it?
yeah, because it got too cold.
Yeah.
So it's just a good thing to show. Here's some of the stuff we've been making. There's a
Little anvil. Look at that.
little anvil, and this is a crucible for 40-ounce dip of silver. This is what they would pour silver into.
Oh.
And gold.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why they call this.
In aluminum, huh?
No, not in aluminum.
Okay.
This is aluminum. It's just for stuff that we could sell out of the.
Yeah. This is the pour hole. This is where they poured this whole thing.
It's called a shrew,
Is that what it's called?
and this is called, well, it's a reservoir, and these are the gateways. Basically,
Yeah.
just think of it. You pour
This
it in
is
here.
kind of the vent here, right?
Right. What happens, see, on those like this, we didn't have this in here, and these were sucking in a little bit too because it would pinch off. You put the vent in there,
So once you see the metal up here, you're full, right?
No, you watch metal here. This, but what this does is just like, it gets into this, you gotta remember this is enclosed.
Right.
So this gives a place for the air to go,
Okay.
and it allows, it pulls that metal through there. It doesn't just click off, so it makes sure that it's all there. What happens, this does not necessarily
Fill up?
fill up.
Oh,
It
okay.
can, and it does most of the time, but most of the time you're watching this one.
So when this overflows, is that when
No,
you're
you
done?
look,
or-
when you see it come up, and just before it overflows, you're done.
Okay.
Now you can figure this and this were the same height
Uh-huh.
in the flask, but you can see this is a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, sometimes they'll fill up the same, sometimes they won't, depending on how much restriction you have down in here,
Uh-huh.
because these can cool off pretty quickly.
Oh, I
and
see.
that's
Before
when
I
you-
can fill up.
Before you can fill it up, so,
Got it.
yeah.
Yeah, this filled out real nice here.
Right,
Those.
right.
That looked really nice. Oh, yeah.
But what they would do then is grind this off here, grind it off there, grind
Right.
it off there, take this over, grind it up, get it.
So you really had two patterns in one
Right.
flask.
Right.
Yeah. And those are wood flasks there, huh?
No, those are actually the
Those
bottoms.
are bottoms and tops?
on those.
Okay.
Yeah. But I see, well, that other than that great big one over there. These ovens here are core ovens,
Uh-huh.
and what they are, if they're making these pipe,
Uh-huh.
you don't want to have to machine out the inside. They would make a clay core for them that would sit inside of your pattern.
Okay, gotcha. So you have a hollow inside the,
So that it would pour all the way around.
and you'd have to have that clay so that it wouldn't burn up or whatever.
Right, and it's
Yeah.
clay and it's baked, and it was held together either by molasses or honey or manure, and that would give it the binding agent,
Uh-huh.
and you bake it, and then when they put it in the mold, it would start to soften up and stuff like that, so you could break it out.
I see.
'Cause you
I
put-
see. Oh,
Aluminum melts, like I said, at about 11, 12, 1300 degrees.
uh-huh.
The metal, hot metal, about 2300 degrees. And then operating temperature, they would want it on is about 2700. So that
You guys ever do any cast iron or anything like that?
we want to get back to it. We just don't have a furnace that can handle it right now. We're just
okay.
doing aluminum.
Is that a lot more temperature? A lot higher temp?
Well, yeah, aluminum will melt at 11. Cast iron will melt at 2300.
Oh, so it's the same as pot metal?
Well, yeah, but pot metal was the wrong term to use.
Oh, okay.
Cast, because most of the stuff metal that they had up here was cast of some sort. So
Okay.
anyhow, yeah, that metal would melt at about 23, start to melt.
Okay.
And then, yeah,
Okay.
but we don't have anything right now that they do it. This wall, Kippers had, and the chimneys up there had guide wires over across the street, and giant thing cut came over, pulled them over, and as you can see, this one came back.
Yeah.
It was tilted like that, but when they did, they broke out all the trusses and stuff. So we're getting that fixed now and putting on the side. But again, no public money, so
It takes a while to get it all back up and
So you
going.
get a project, a major project, and you figure out how much it's going to cost you, and then you've got to raise the money so to go do it.
Right.
And right now, we've got structural things that we need to get done
Uh-huh.
and stuff. But that's
That's pretty
basically the 5-cent tour. Oh, you want to see this?
cool. I want to see that other shop. Oh my, look at that thing. Look at that big thing. What's that? Is that 10 feet across? Oh, my goodness. So you guys have this one running?
It doesn't have a water motor in it.
Oh, it doesn't. My goodness. That's a lake. And this would feed back and forth?
Yeah. If you look over the overhead here, it's hard to see, but they've got a walking crane, Runs on the big
My
track.
goodness. And that's all wood.
Yes.
That's not cast iron.
No,
It's all wood. They just use a middle track for it to run on. You know what the weight capacity was? How in the world did they get that wheel up there? God, look at that big old wheel up there.
You know what it is?
What?
Panel.
Oh, so it's wood.
It's wood. That's again.
I was thinking that's the cast iron, man. That stuff is heavy. Amazing. That is amazing right there. You've got a couple of big old patterns up there.
One of them was at
It's got a big old pump. And so the belt came down this way, did it?
yeah. Yeah.
So it run this pulley or that pulley? Well, I guess one of them probably ran the shaft from the motor, and then the other one ran
The lathe.
the lathe, huh?
This one here, this outside shaft, I do believe is used to run the crane back and forth.
Oh, okay.
I think
I'll be.
some of this stuff is a pretty good guess. You know?
Yeah, it's not assembled yet.
Well, you know, we have had fun figuring it out.
That is fascinating. So this
See,
this
there'd be
had
another
1,
set
2,
of
3,
those cones
4.
down here too. That, you know, someplace that would run the built on.
Uh-huh.
Well,
So
that's-
this was a water motor that ran it
yeah,
then. So like you showed me in there, you had a direct water line in here.
Right.
Man, I wonder what that thing weighs.
More than you and I want to pick up. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you.
I don't think this boy would even be able to pick
No.
up a tooth of that.
No.
That is amazing. I don't think I've ever seen one that big.
Well, you know, that's some of that stuff, you know, dredges and stuff. Well,
it's
and,
massive.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they might get something that big, but they're only, you know, machining the shaft or something might be 2 inches, you know.
Uh-huh.
But they still have to have a vacuum on it.
So this is your stock of aluminum here, huh?
Yeah, most of it's no good. Too contaminated, but
Very nice. I appreciate your time showing us.
no problem. We'll be back again.
I was looking forward to it.
Like I said, if next time you come up, check it on the same Saturday. Watch the machines run and talk to some actual machinists that,
Guys that
you know,
actually
can
run it.
answer your questions. I do the best I can, but I'm not
Oh, you
all
did
that
good.
knowledgeable.
Appreciate it. That was really fun.
Well, now, all you gotta do now is
Hopefully it's not